Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about why consistency beats motivation every time. If there's one thing that will get you to be successful in whatever you choose to do, it's consistency. There are some people who seem to get lucky, and they got their big break, they became famous, they lost weight, they made money, they got the girl or guy overnight. Well, here's what you don't see. Those same people were consistent for years before that happened. It was just a matter of time until something clicked. And so sometimes, when we don't see that, it seems like they got lucky. But they were consistent. They were doing the work. I think one of the biggest problems we have today is that we want things now. We want to make $1 million now. We want to be the happiest person on planet Earth right now. We want to have the perfect body right now. And that's where consistency comes in. Because if you would be willing to sacrifice your happiness, your comfort, your gratification for an extended period of time, you can have whatever you want. That's called delayed gratification. And it takes discipline. And so the problem is, not only do we want things right now, but we also have been trained by our society to stop believing in ourselves. If you go back 20 years ago, everybody believed in themselves. They believed in America. They believed that hard work paid off. They believed in making sacrifices for a better future. But somehow along the way, we've started to believe that that's not true anymore. It doesn't work that way. The only way to get X is to win the lottery. We need to change that mindset back. So I wanted to share with you guys 4 quotes that talk about consistency and how important it is. So let's get into it. Number 1, the compound effect. Small actions, massive results. This quote is from a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He says that small daily actions plus consistent effort yields extraordinary results. Do you see that? Extraordinary results. When we think of success, we always think of extraordinary results, the outlier, the anomaly, the exception. But he's saying that extraordinary results come from ordinary actions, meaning everyday actions, consistent efforts. And so many people know what they should be doing, but the problem is that they keep procrastinating, keep delaying. They know they should be waking up early, but they keep hitting the snooze button. They know they should be eating better, but then they go through the drive-thru. They know they should be spending time with friends and family more, but then they get caught up in work or other things. They know they should be exercising, but then they come up with an excuse as to why they can't go today. Now guess what happens when we do that over and over again? Eventually those little things start to add up. They compound. You know, when you look at a tree, you see this beautiful tree, but you don't see the roots. When you look at someone who's successful, you see them standing there, but you don't see all the things that they did behind the scenes to get there. Here's a good example. Someone wants to lose weight, right? So they go on a diet. They're doing everything right. They're exercising. They're eating healthy. But then eventually they get tired of eating chicken breast and broccoli and rice. So then they cheat one day, then 2 days, then 3 days. Then eventually they say, screw it, I'm going back to the way I was living. Now guess what happens there? They gain a couple pounds, then 5 pounds, then 10 pounds. And eventually they're back to square one. Or even worse than where they started because they had already seen success. They felt good about themselves. But then when they quit being consistent, now they feel worse because they regressed. The reality is that life is compounding. Just like the stock market, the snowball effect works in both directions. If you're doing good, it compounds. If you're doing bad, it compounds as well. As Jim Rohn said, the chain of events leading to success starts with the decision to act. A single decision. That single decision can change your life forever. Maybe you decide to start exercising. Maybe you decide to start eating healthier. Maybe you decide to start reading books. Maybe you decide to start spending time with people who inspire you. Whatever that thing is that you decide to do on a consistent basis will compound, and before you know it, you'll look back and you'll wonder how you got here so fast. Number 2, how to build unbreakable discipline, even when you don't feel like it. This quote is from a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. David Goggins is a retired Navy SEAL. He ran 100 miles in the hottest desert in the world, broke the world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours. He pushed himself beyond what he thought was possible. And in his book, he talks about how to build unbreakable discipline. Here's what he says: how to build unbreakable discipline, even when you don't feel like it. Most people quit when they don't feel like doing something. They don't show up to that workout. They don't write that email. They don't take out the trash. They don't make that phone call. They don't ask that girl out. They don't pursue their dreams because they don't feel like it. They're lazy. What if you could reverse that? What if you could be excited and motivated every single day? What if you never had to rely on motivation ever again? And that's what he talks about in his book, is that you don't need motivation. Motivation is for losers. Motivation is for people who aren't committed. He says motivation is a myth. Winners simply do the work when they don't feel like it. What's the difference between feeling like it and not feeling like it? Nothing. Zero difference. The only difference is what you tell yourself. You can convince yourself that you do not feel like doing it, or you can convince yourself that you're not feeling like doing it right now, but it's time to get to work anyway. If you understand that concept, if you can put that in your mind, you'll be unstoppable. Because winners do things that losers aren't willing to do. Winners are uncomfortable being comfortable. Winners don't wait for motivation to strike. They know that motivation isn't always there, so they're not relying on it. Instead, they focus on building the habit first. They focus on becoming the type of person that does the habits that they know will get them to their desired result. Number 3, the 1% rule. This quote is from a book called The 1% Advantage by Pat McGrew. He says, if you get just a little bit better each day, you will outperform people who are twice as talented. Now, what does that mean? It means that if you're getting 1% better, if you're improving 1% every single day, you'll end up beating 99% of the people who are out there, even if they're more talented than you. Why? Because you're consistent. Do you see the power in that? Imagine if you're an investor and you're trying to beat the market. You know that the S&P 500 averages 7% a year. So you think, okay, I need to beat 7%. But what if you didn't think that way? What if you thought, okay, instead of thinking about how much money I'm going to make, I'm going to get 1% better as an investor every single day. Guess what would happen? You'd eventually beat the market. Same thing applies to fitness. You're not thinking about how many calories you're burning today. You're thinking about, how do I get 1% better at living a healthy lifestyle? How do I get 1% better at making sure I eat clean? How do I get 1% better at working out? How do I get 1% better at sleeping better? 1% is all you need. The funny thing about progress is that you never really notice it while you're making it. You only notice it looking back. Take a picture of yourself from 5 years ago and compare it to a picture of yourself today. You'll see how much progress you've made. That's the same thing with investing, with your business, with your fitness, with your goals. You don't see the progress while you're making it. You only look back and you realize, oh my God, I actually accomplished a lot. We need to zoom out and look at the progress we've made, because oftentimes we feel like we're not making any progress, but we're lying to ourselves. We're kidding ourselves. We're procrastinating. We're inconsistent. Here's the reality. Overnight successes are rare. Most successful people don't become successful overnight. They work on their craft for years, sometimes decades before they get their big break. But they stick with it because they're consistent. That's what separates the 99% from the 1%. Not their talent, not their intelligence, not their looks, their consistency. Now, what does this all mean for you? I hope it inspires you to keep going. It inspires me to keep going. Look, I might be 1% better today than I was yesterday. I might not see it, but you know what? In 10 years, I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna see it, and I hope that inspires you. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about these quotes. Give the video a like. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, because I post new videos every single week to help you become the greatest version of yourself. That's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll see you in the next video.